All right, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is great to have you here. I'm glad to be doing these level requests once more. Once again, the form will be linked either on your screen right there or it'll be linked in chat. You can submit your level there and I will begin playing them through. All right, so at the moment, I'm just going to go through and play a few of the recent awarded levels, and then we'll be jumping into some of the requests that I get. Fortunately, the form doesn't work for me. It says error 404. Let me double check that really quick. It's good to know. Huh. It's Lincoln for me. I'm not sure. All right, let me roll over a really quick link to the direct form. Sorry about that. Let's try to get that rolling. Once again, my apologies. Hopefully that'll work for you guys. I'll start playing through a few things, and if that doesn't work, I'll do a few more adjustments. Hmm. Yeah, I'm not positive here. If that's still not working, I can do some adjustments real quick. But I should have all settings correct. Apologies once again here. Oh, awesome. I got in. Sounds good. We got our first request in that case. Any other technical difficulties can 100% be handed to me if there's any issues. Just a moment. I'm going to double check something real quick. All right, I think all settings still should check out on the tiny URL. I'm not exactly positive what's going on there, so hopefully we can get that sorted out. I have that set up for the vertical stream as well, so if you're watching on vertical, make sure to let me know if there's any issues there. First level today is going to be Go Vacation 2026 by Hacker of Game. Let's just get it started. So I want to point out, first of all, as we play this through, good theming, right? You have the nice underwater theme, some good sound effects roll in here. Not sure if you can hear that. I have the volume turned down quite low to make sure that my voice still rolls through, but that's a nice use of the saw blade there because it's a toggle. So essentially what that does for a player is it shows, okay, what do I need to click in order to activate that toggle work? So nice job there. That's some good forward thinking. It's a bit orb heavy in several senses, but you know that is to some degree a very personal preference. You've got a nice background going there. There are several layers. Welcome into Vertical Chat. Ooh, this is a bit of a tricky input. There we go. All right, so you have at a higher opacity what you're supposed to click. Very interesting. Ooh. What am I doing wrong here? Can't say for certain. Oh, there we go. I guess I just wasn't clicking them all. That coral appears to be part of the spikes. Good to know. There we go. And now we're into the layout. We'll take a look at some of the gameplay as we go through this, though, still. Hello, welcome in once again to Vertical Chat. Good to have you. And then once again, for anybody in chat, I am not taking requests via the chat. Those all have to go to the Google form just in order to keep things in good order and give everybody who submits on the form their fair shot. Oh. I actually, in one of my recent levels, not my recent levels, one of my first levels, did a very similar thing to that. Granted, a little bit of a lower quality, so good job there. But I essentially had a black and white scene where my cube was jumping around. But you did it at a much better degree, so good job there. I like the idea here. This is really cool. Obviously, you know, you could go through and you could talk about refining, but in an unfinished level, it's really important to also consider the concept. And I think at the moment, you've really nailed the concept here. There's some nice pool, and it makes sense for the summer theming here. As for hardest, I personally really don't do a bunch of demon grinding. I only have 19 demons myself. That's why I play most things through in practice mode, because I'm not inherently a great player. I like to just talk about what's going right, what's going wrong in the decoration and gameplay side of levels. Also, quick note here. I can already see right ahead, you've got a really cool animation going ahead here. Some good water ripples. Ooh. In practice mode, they do get a little bit behind, but that's all right. Gameplay looks kind of buggy. Honestly, part of that is just myself not being the adequate player for this level. It is a demon level to all degrees, which is all right. I mean, I'm fine with that. Probably pretty soon I am just going to give a quick verdict based off what I've seen so far, just because I do want to get through some other levels in the queue. Oh, looks like I accidentally broke the duel there. Interesting. All right, I will probably call it off right about here. But want to give some quick comments on what I've seen so far. Obviously, it's not done. There's some parts that are just straight layout. That is to be expected, though, when you're building a level. And that's all right. I mean, I would not want it any other way. I wouldn't want to see somebody just going through and only building, you know, one part at a time. It's really good to build a layout and just thrive off that. So good job there. I'm seeing in the chat as well, we reached 1,000 subs. Once again, enormous thank you to you guys. You guys are the ones that make it happen. I just make the content. You guys are the community that does it. So I owe it all to you guys, and I'm really, really, really appreciative of this. Thank you. Got a few more levels coming in. Natural by Yeah Juice. Long 41 seconds. Let's get it rolling. As for somebody is requesting a level that's that should be reported, I can report it a little bit later in the stream. I am going to just stick to the requests for the moment, since I don't have any elevated permissions like an elder moderator would. But yeah, I'll I'll probably just stick to just playing through some levels for the moment. This has got some nice music to it. I feel like overall the sync sticks. I don't have a lot of times where I'm playing this through and I'm like, why is this click here? It's just there's some tight timings. And the question in... Okay, so the question was, is it cheese-proof? Essentially meaning, like, can you know... Okay, so there's a little thing, I guess. Essentially, can you break the level? A little bit of a short duel here. I'm not exactly sure why. I might just stick that to remain as a single player. But, once again... Oh, okay. Oh, it is a longer duel. My apologies. It's an error on my end. Ooh. Oh, I like that. That's actually really, really, really inventive. Great job. Yeah, I mean, again, this gameplay is not bad. It's just... I haven't played the game yet today, so I'm still warming it up. Oh, there is a pink orb in there. That's one where I might say maybe make a bit of a distinction, because when you have a mini portal and a pink orb, they stack together and make it really hard to read on sight. So maybe either making the mini invisible since it doesn't directly impact how you play on the start, or just going straight ahead and saying, you know, whatever else. Oh, so that's I go into the wave. Possible time when I would consider adding a bit of a portal there for a signal, because that was a little bit confusing on sight there. Oh, that is a bit, I guess, if you were looking for is it cheese proof, that would be something that I would patch. I'm a bit delayed here on this first orb, so let me run that back. There we go. Oh, okay. Yeah, I would say I'm not bad at making gameplay. I made this 30 minutes ago. Yeah, not bad. Certainly not bad, especially considering you kind of made it on the fly. I would not be ashamed of this. This is actually pretty good. Okay, let me think about how I would do this. Yeah, I'd just go over personally, so you'd want to add some structuring there once if you made a complete level. Ooh, I'm picking up some speed here real quick. Hold on. Okay, so you can follow the ground. That is something that I would adjust. I'll show a quick patch there real quick. Hit the X. Ooh. So it is pretty fast. Green orbs, their gravity changes rapidly based on how you input with them. So that's something to consider. You know, do I want to stack, like, for example, 4 green orbs there? Or do I want to just consider it to be a single green orb or a blue orb? Just stacking those makes things a little bit more consistent. A few questions. When's your next stream? I'm planning on streaming generally on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So like today would be our Saturday stream. However, I'm going to be on vacation actually for the next week-ish. So that'll be on, that stream will be delayed to Thursday. Shouldn't be a super severe problem though. If you haven't seen, I just wanted to say I'm your 1,000th subscriber. Sincerely, thank you. I really appreciate it. Got a few more rolling in. This is great to see. Thank you guys for submitting, as always. Backfire 2 by Waters35678. Got 151 downloads, 6 likes, and 28 seconds in length. Let's take a look. Rate worthy or not. Got a few questions about air deco, it looks like. Good deco, not good gameplay. Sadly not rate worthy. I want to double check what the questions are. No questions, comments, or concerns. Good to know. I'll just review this straight up then. All right, so that zoom out, I would definitely make a little bit quicker because it becomes a little bit tricky to read as a player. Another quick tip here, the sun is half faded, which is, you know, it's an easy fix. All you need to do is you need to break into the editor real quick and just say, don't fade and don't enter. All right, sorry. Let me lock in quick. There we go. Boom, boom. We're fading into dark, nighttime possibly. So I'm going to take a quick pause here because this is a good learning lesson for basically anybody. 3D lines are something that you can absolutely keep consistent with almost any block decoration, and keeping them consistent essentially means that when you play it through, it reads the same to the eye. So like, for example, if I were to add one block design that has 3D lines, I'd want to, at least for the entire part, contain all block designs to have 3D lines. Because when you make mismatching, your eye doesn't know, okay, is this a 3-dimensional part? Is it a 2-dimensional part? Because naturally your brain tries to see 3 dimensions. So if you're going to do a 2-dimensional part, you do want to consider adding a little bit of depth in the actual block design and not doing any 3D lines. We're jumping through some good spike designs there. Yeah, you can make 3D lines with any block just by warping it. 100%. Yeah. Overall, definitely not too bad. I think that you have a really good understanding of the concepts of decoration. There are a lot of good things in there. You worked with some pixel style. You worked with some, even just making assets out of plain blocks. That's a very difficult task, and you've done it to a good quality there. So a few speaking points here, just really quick, when I'm going to break into the editor. This is a small thing, and it doesn't really show up in the level, but this sun right here actually breaks through this building in the back. So what you can do is you can take a look at what editor layers your sun is on. So for me, this looks like it's on B5 with 9. So you can go into here. It's on B5 with -7. If you just change this Z order, which essentially tells the computer how to layer your block designs, I can punch this into 10, and then boom, it immediately shows up above the sun. You'd want to do this for all these levels. You've got a good pattern going on with clouds. That's really nice. Consistent block designs are also going to be really important. Looks like you could also maybe do that Z layer trick for these windows. Those are just popping out just above the ground there. I did have a few things to say about like portals and custom objects here. They are really awesome and they can be incredibly helpful. The only thing is you need to make sure that they match the theme of the rest of the level. And in this case, it's a little bit pixelated in comparison to the rest of your designs. Your designs in general reflect art and they reflect nature. They have some moss around them, so I might do a little bit more designing on those portals there. This saw took me a little bit to learn because I didn't realize these rocks were spiked objects. Along with this is taken inspiration from, I think, various levels like Finger Dash and certain things like that. And then make sure your portals are consistent. There's my 3D line claim there. Just add a few 3D lines there and you're looking at a much more consistent depth idea. Follow through with that there. Got a good spike rolling, and you could actually just put these spikes around here, this saw, because it adds a little bit more depth and dimension. And then we reach an end right there. Overall, certainly not too bad. You've got a good start, and as some members of the chat are saying, it could turn into a really, really, really good level. So yeah, just keep growing on it. Keep improving. Duality Schmality by DP Morghax for real. Ooh, we got some good glow going on. Whoa, 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 whoa. So shaders are not a bad thing. I want to make that very clear before I talk about this. Shaders can be used for incredible things. I've used shaders several times in my levels. And shaders can really make your level have a lot of atmosphere, energy, and emotion in them. So they're very useful. However, when you use them to such a strong degree, it's really important to consider, okay, am I going to have a disable shaders effect there? Or, how am I going to make it so that people who like to be able to see exactly what's going on in the level, which can be a preference. Some people like to, experience a level more than feel it and see it and all that good stuff. But I would definitely say maybe add a disable shaders effect or tone it down just a bit. All right, hang on. So this is going to be a classic dual wave situation there. Hold on. And then we're through. So this level pretty clearly is a dual theme thing. Going into single player here for just a moment though. I'm having a bit of trouble in this section because it's very dark with the readability factor here. I would consider toning that down a little bit or brightening it up, doing some things to add some contrast, because I don't think it's inherently bad. There's just a bit of trouble reading exactly what's going on, you know. I'm probably gonna, for the rest of this level, so I can just see what it looks like playing it through normally, I would likely break into the YouTube video for just a moment here. All right, I'm gonna open up the YouTube video. I will be right back with a few more thoughts. All right, so it's gonna be 46. Get it all through. I will say this for a fact, you have a very good theme going on. It's all purple. You've got some good blue accents going on there. So good job. All right, we're rolling through. I've got the audio on mute. I am watching it through, though. Just got a bit of a buffer going on. Yeah, I mean, I think if I were to focus on exactly one thing that was done really well throughout this whole level, you've done a good job adding atmosphere. If I look through this, there's glow, there's a consistent color, you've got some text going on to add a vibe to it, player color stuff here, some good rainbows going on, just give it some kick, and obviously there is going to be a shader going on here. I'll turn on shaders for just a moment. So yeah, you can't see all the depth going on here when I open it up in editor, but there's a lot more going on. And then this part that I was talking about, I would enhance readability a little bit here. It's not necessarily all or nothing. You can just lower it down a little bit, but yeah. Got some good accent colors going on here, as always, and a good GG at the end. Yeah, I mean, I think overall, what you've done is very good. I would definitely consider increasing the readability a little bit, as I've mentioned several times, but seems like a good challenge. I'd definitely be interested to play even a little bit of a longer version of it. Let me roll over to the vertical chat for just a second here. So a few notes here for the vertical chat. I unfortunately am not going to be going through and playing some levels in the chat, as I've mentioned before. I also probably not going to do on-stream friend requests, but you can totally send me one and I'll read through it. Bad decisions, SC. All right, just based off the thematic nature here, I'm going to be I might turn it off if it just gets a little bit too aggressive, because I want to make sure that everybody feels safe when they watch my streams. But if I do end up not playing it through, I will 100% look at it after the stream's over and leave a few comments on your level. This is a little bit of a tricky timing for me. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. So just based off that, since it is a little bit of a longer level, it's 1 minute and 56 seconds, I'm going to open up the YouTube video really quick. Play it through really. All right, so it's linked to a playlist. I'm going to open up the one that looks like it's a full level. Oh, so this is the layout. Okay. All right, so since it is, for several reasons, it's a more difficult level, and it is slightly lengthy, I'm probably going to go ahead and play this one in more detail once the stream is over, and try to figure out a way to just give some very direct feedback to you, and that'll come through the comments. So watch for a comment for me in about 1 or 2 days, if not shorter. Let me flag that really quick on my form, and I will get back to that one very quickly. Shorts by I'm Here GD Bro. 10 seconds long. Okay. Of course, the classic shorts. Watch this. First try. Holy moly. Holy moly. Okay. This is one where hitboxes would not be a shame, but the shorts always show them without hitboxes. This is very true to nature. Heck yeah. I'm just combusting on contact. That is great. Holy clip farm, honestly, yeah. There we go. In case anybody's wondering, call that first attempt. Close enough. 35 is the total attempts. That is awesome. All right. Once again, for anybody requesting names of levels in chat, I will not be checking those, unfortunately, because I want to give everybody who has submitted in the form a fair chance. Outlaw. Ooh, got a little American flag theme going on here, if I am not incorrect, which makes sense for the theme of Outlaw. I do like what you've done with the modern deco in general here. There's a good color choices. Here, I would say maybe think about contrasting a bit more. They certainly do contrast, however, purple and green kind of fight each other for the spotlight. So if you would make maybe more of a blue or something like that, yeah, that would be really beneficial. Once again, here I might do a blue on the green or an orange on the red. It adds a little bit more harmony as you're playing through, and it allows for contrast to make a bit more sense. Although your designs in general are pretty well developed, I like that aspect of it for certain. You've got a nice little UFO situation going on there. Ooh. There we go. Some good experimentation here with structuring in general. There's some good, like, I'd like to say, like, suspension, you know what I mean? Good use of spikes as well. I want to point that out and make that very clear. I like, you know, you're playing around with decoration. You're not just settling on one thing. So, yeah, overall, I'd say what steals the show for me when I played this level through is the fact that there's a bunch of different things that are tried out here. It's really cool to see, you know, creators in general just experimenting with things, and just learning. I think that, you know, if you learn as a creator, there is no point in which you're limited. I think that, you know, I'm still learning things. The best creators are still learning things. Everybody's still learning things as they build their levels. So yeah, overall, pretty good. Thank you for submitting. All right. So this one is an XL level. Unfortunately, I am gonna probably either save this one. I'll put it on hold for a moment, but it does go against one of the stream rules. So I probably won't review it on stream, but I will leave a comment for you a little bit later. How do I submit? You'll just use that little link up top there that says submit your level. Ooh, this is very nice. I'm fond of this so far. This is really cool. There's some good colors going on in general. There's some good glow. Everything kind of harmonizes very well. So big fan there. I'm probably going to break into the editor for just a hot second here once this level's all finished up, and I'll make a few comments on it. So when you look at this level, there's the 3D lines I was recently talking about. They're persistent throughout all the designs. They're all pointing in the same direction. They all make sense based off where the camera would be. So, for instance, the camera will be in the bottom left here. Nice rainbow flashing. Boom, boom. Whoa. That little wave section, this is very nitpicky, but I would say maybe add a little bit more air decoration. It's a bit blank, but not too bad. I think if I remember correctly, I actually used this song in one of my very first levels I ever created, which is very cool. It's not privately, or it's not publicly uploaded to the servers, but yeah, it got me interested in creating. Hot Fuss. Yeah, it's a feature. I was going to say it lands itself as a featured rating. Let me open this up really quick and make a few comments on why. So, first of all, this bottom glow right here, it in general is very nice. It adds a lot of good color to it. It just gives it a soft feeling, which is great. Just a moment. Sorry, I'm hashing out something really quick. Unfortunately, there was a bit of spamming going on in the vertical chat, so I just had to run a really quick timeout. I asked that you don't spam your level names or requests in the chat, since I am trying to go through and give some good feedback for people. So yeah, that glow persists through the rest of the level. You got some good background detail here. It's not overbearing, and it really does merge very well with the overall atmosphere of the level. This is very subtle, but there's some good glow going on here. And overall, the colors do feel together. They work for a common goal. There's no outliers that really stick out like a sore thumb in any way. The gameplay reads pretty well. It makes sense in context, right? So yeah, I mean, overall, it just is a very solidly done level. There's nothing that really, goes on that's like, I've never seen this before, but what is done and what I have seen before is done to a good degree. Very well developed. So yeah, great job there. 1.9 style level as well. 2 months ago, so still pretty relevant. But yeah. Cluster buff demo, minute 35 seconds. Okay, so this one is a 10-star, and unfortunately it does not have a video attached, so I will have to skip it for now. This is my oldest Go Vacation level. Once again by Hacker of Game. Second submission for today. Yeah, so for this level in particular, because it is an older level of this creators, I want to talk about what they've improved on, right? Because when you build a level and you have a series attached to it, you want to look not just for how do they merge together, how do they make a series, you want to look for how are they better this time through, right? And this one, it's very, very, very clear, the more recent levels are just generally well developed. They have good creative concepts in them. There's good understanding, good depth, all the good stuff. Not that this one's bad. There's some good decoration concepts here, but the development has gone off the charts in the new ones. I like that idea of hiding it behind the waterfall. That is a nice creative concept, so neat job there. Ooh, so you can go through you can go through some of the blocks. That would be definitely worth a consideration. What am I missing here? Oh, I'm just supposed to jump over the saws as I meet them. Okay. Nice. I would love if there was glow on both sides of the slopes here. Oh, so you can stick to the ceiling, I suppose. Or you can just gently tap. This one, I think you do have to. Oh, okay, so I went through the block. Oh, and I made it out on the other side. Awesome. Boom. Go Vacation, dedicated to EVW, the old EVW. Always a good video from him. Happy holiday or vacation, I guess. Built and verified on mobile. So yeah, again, one more time, you've done a great job progressing as a creator. It's very clear. Your levels look more developed. They make sense together. They're coherent. The colors work well. I can't say enough about, the improvement arc. Blazing through. Ooh. All right. I see you. This is cool. I like the logo. That's nice. Nice. Title screens right in the middle of the level are always really nice because they loop it around, they make it make sense together, and they give you a nice breath of fresh air from just playing, you know what I mean? They got a little transition going on, and they give you that. This is a very interesting level, I'd say, overall, honestly. Ooh. I legitimately always enjoy it when a creator experiments with dark mode and, bright colors on it. It works well in general. You've done a nice job making a old camcorder style. That's very cool. I would make those blocks maybe less solid. They looked very solid to me when I played them through the first time, but once you get the hang of it and you play it through once in practice mode, no question. Blazing through. Let me do a quick check here. I've got a few questions about an editor and editor copy discrepancy. Not certainly saying it's stolen, but if I were to actually be sending this, I would definitely double check that the legitimacy of it. But if it is original, which I'm going to say it is just for now, it would definitely be a feature. Let me see. Not sure about this logo. It doesn't quite match up to me. Real quick grab here. Yeah, it is a top level. None of the rated ones or the ones above it really match it. So, I mean, for now, I do have the hunch that it is legitimate, which is awesome. If it is legitimate, great job. It's very cool. We'll clear that one. But yeah, very nice. J by Tenador GD. Okay. That was 10-star level right there. Because request as a 1-star. That's how we do it. That is how we do it. 100% 2 attempts. In fact, for the specific level, I'm going to do it again in normal mode. What is my skill issue? Anyway, yeah. GG's. On the old J. All right. Next up in the queue. If I remember correctly, I can't log into my account, released another level in my first stream. Level 1 easy. Very nice. And I think this one, if I'm remembering correctly, and it was a platformer as well, there was a bit of a visual issue with some of the stuff not being readable, but this one does not seem to suffer from that. So that's good. Good to see. Oh. Okay. I can't say I necessarily see this as just a hard. I don't know for a fact, though. This could just be an instance where, like, I'm just, like, playing horribly. See, like, that should be easy. Keyword there should be, right? Hold on. Let me break into the editor for just a second here and just look at what's going on, right? Ooh, demon levels, like, dark. What's going on there? Ooh, of Doom. 6 rooms of Doom. Ooh. That's a nerve-wracking title right there if I've ever seen one. Yeah, but I mean, just looking from it, you've got a good theme going on, right? You match the color of the difficulties to the room. I can't say that, you know, necessarily would be rate worthy just because usually with these room levels, they're a little bit tricky. Oh, it's one of these maze ones. I've played several maze levels where the last room is invisible hitboxes. But yeah, what I was going to say is that you've matched them up. They work pretty well. This one seems to have a lava moving thing here, which is a good thing. Adding a little bit of variation there, but I would consider maybe going through and just adding a little bit more, you know, maybe pulsing, maybe adding a little bit more variation in the designs, just general stuff like that. All right, so several questions coming in from the chat. Let me read these through really quick. I added my level in the link. Will it be played? It will be played. It might. I can't guarantee they'll be played on stream because I'm getting more requests than I can play through. However, if I don't get to it on stream, I will either just play it through or I'll leave a comment. Usually if I have much to say, I will definitely leave a comment. Cube 98. There we go. Oh my gosh, she added me. That's so awesome. That's me. Let's go. Thank you. That's really cool. I love that. CryptoFunk preview. Previews are always a good sign. Oh. Oh, oh, oh. Okay. Boom, boom. Ooh, a little bit of low gravity. If you were to go back and decide to decorate this, a really good idea would be to add a low gravity like warning or something like that. I personally see this level if I had to guess like a pixel themed level. Oh. I was gonna say it was unreadable, but then it kind of all was not unreadable at all. Ooh, a little special game mode going on here. I dig it. That's cool. Okay. So maybe add a bit of clarity on like when does the gravity change, right? Because that's a bit hard to tell just on site. Okay, I'm cooking. Oh, okay, that's a bit of a drop that I would definitely make sure is signaled. Because like for me, I wasn't able to read that on first sight. And this is also a quick skip. There we go. Yeah, overall, good job. It's very cool. Yeah, I like this a lot. I would agree with that. It's pretty nice overall. You've done a good job just adding some variation. Definitely going through and adding another game mode would qualify as that. CryptoFunk preview. Could definitely, with some decoration, even land itself a star rate or even higher. Gameplay is one of those things where, like, you know, if you do it well, it basically leaves your level uncapped and lets you just really work with the decoration to see exactly what you can do. Sadness is a layout from 3 months ago. Good kid song. That's always a good sign. All right, so the sadness part definitely matches, I'd say, right? Okay. Oh. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what. This is one where I might consider adding a, pink orb or something a little bit more predictable right out of it, because I guess that these are supposed to be see-through spikes, but against a gray background, it's very difficult to see. What I mean by that is, for somebody looking through it the first time, this looks very similar to this. So, like, I don't know, should I be buffering the input? Should I be going really aggressive at the beginning there? Like, I'm not sure. Interesting idea here on the Club Step Monster. There's more dedications. Consider adding another extra font here. Definitely. Sync, boom, boom. Yeah, nice. Vintage clothes. Good use of toggle orb. That's good to see. Good to see people working with that. However, with these things, what you can do is you can completely remove this toggle here. And you can say, okay, it looks like we're turning this off, right? You can just delete this entirely, and you can just grab this, group 1, and then because it's activates not checked, you don't even need to worry about clicking that. So that's awesome. Do you read chat? Yes, I do read chat from time to time. Mostly I'm going to be focusing on what levels I'm playing, obviously, but I do. Overall, very cool. I will check out the YouTube video in a little bit as well to give some precise feedback, but not bad overall. Can't make a YouTube video, but it's an 8 or 9 star, so we should be all right. Doors. Minute 18 seconds. I can at least get through a good amount of this. How to play. Look when your icon is on to advance. The closet. Passes. Okay. Yeah, I definitely can't guarantee that I'm gonna play through all of this, because it does look like a very full level, but okay. What? Oh, I'm a mini. Boom. Do I have to, like, is there a way to, like, make myself larger? Oh, I'm in. What am I doing? Lights are going on and off. Oh! Brutal. So I can get the idea of the level. I obviously don't know exactly how to play it, but interesting, I'd say. Definitely good to see a full game development and process. Let me open up the editor. These mini games oftentimes have the wildest editors. Yeah. Like, as I was saying, usually there's like a big packages of triggers, which is really cool. Ambush coming soon. Yeah. Looks like there's a lot of good rooms going on throughout here. You got some good progression as well with, like, this eye theming. I appreciate that for sure. Yeah. You're reading this and then you got super lucky. It's just this text has a 1% chance to spawn. Unless you're in the editor, then it has a 100% chance to spawn. Overall, though, L-Splash making the Roblox game. So it is inspired off of a Roblox game. Heavily unfinished, so I think with some refining, it could definitely get possibly a rating. How to Ball by Rob Top Frequently Asked Questions. Oh. So this one, I believe, is very lengthy. Right? 50 levels. Yeah. This is another one where I'm just going to pop in the editor. Oh, wow. Okay, so yeah, they are generally fairly easy. It looks like it's going to be an 8-star platformer. Interesting. Meet Jim Bob. You know, honestly, with these room levels, what's really important is adding uniqueness, and I think to a decent degree, that's been done, right? There's some good, grief jump scare, all that stuff, and it doesn't have to be like serious uniqueness. You can be funny, and that can be unique. It doesn't always have to be, you're dead serious about everything. Obviously, it's not like it's terrible if you are, but as a stylistic choice, let's take a bite of the spike. Hypotenuse Part 4. Like, I like how the level isn't taken overly seriously. It's very nice. Okay. Just as a heads up, we got about 9 minutes until stream is going to be about over, I believe. Gingerbread by Emil Triple Ones. Ooh, it's like 9 Circle style here. Or I should say it's the most famous one. Blended with the old Sonic Wave song, which is really Sonic Blaster, but, There we go. So it looks like it's actually an accelerated 9 Circles level. I think if I had to pick one thing in this part to do, other than, just general polishing and things, it would be changing the ground color. Usually a blue ground color doesn't quite merge with a red background perfectly. Okay. This is where my lack of just skill becomes slightly obvious, right? Ooh, that's a tight corridor for what it is. Okay, so this is another 10-star request, so I'll probably pan through it in full a little bit later. Another quick tip here for these spikes, they are generally used to be extra decoration and not solid spikes, so they're a bit confusing for a player on first sight there. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be a 9 Circles level. Let me pop open and do a quick double check of that. Yeah, so there is a point in which you could definitely add decoration there. Got some good glow going on. With these kinds of levels that are very 9 Circles themed, it's definitely worth considering, how am I going to convey that? Is this supposed to be a 9 Circles level? Is it not? All the good stuff. And then we reach an end. Definitely could use a little bit of decoration here, finish it off, do some good polishing there. But I don't think what you have so far is bad. There's obviously some places that could be leveled up and things like that, but you've got a good start for sure. Let me clear that from the queue. Blue 2. Just for you. Okay. Just for me then. Okay, how do I... I don't have the feeling that this is necessarily an 8-star. This is a pretty tight timing. 30-second level. Interesting. And yeah, obviously it is going to be 8 seconds long. So it probably could not be getting rated. Let me pop it open real quick and just see what we're looking at there. Yeah, good custom font. It's always good to use custom fonts. Those are very nice, and they add a little bit of depth to the level. Some good camera rotate. Yeah. I see. There's a coin. This is the one that I was a bit questionable about. I was like, I don't think that's an 8 or 9 star. And it does look pretty difficult, but the opposite case could be, this is a super short level. But personally, I think it would be maybe a 9, if not a 10 star. You need jukebox for the level. Got it. Okay. For the sake of, the level request idea in general, I probably will not be playing this one. It's Congregation. I think a lot of people know what this one is. Very famous level with 9 million downloads, but there you go. Congregation. Also, may I send my best level I ever made if it fits the forum's guidelines? Yeah, I don't see why not. All right, so this is yeah, you got 1 send on it. That's nice. Some good comments as well. Let's play it through. Let's see what we got going on. Okay, it's a 10-star. Let me watch it through really quick. I don't doubt it's good, to be clear. I just want to make sure that I'm actually getting a good feel of the level, not just guessing out of thin air, because that's worse than giving no feedback at all. Okay. It's around Cataclysm difficulty, apparently. Decent consistency overall from what I'm seeing. Some good concepts that make it really interesting to play through, it appears. Decoratively pretty interesting. There's some good things there. I think tentatively from what I'm seeing, if I were to be sending this level, I would likely see it being sent for a star rate. Not 100% positive on that one, though. I can't say for certain. Yeah, I mean, I'm even just looking here near the end. There's some good rainbow block usage, just adding a little bit of depth to the level, because really the cutoff that makes a level really good and makes it unique is doing things that other creators don't think about, right? Obviously, you can go on and say, oh, it's got to have movement, it's got to have things, but there's always going to be a level that breaks those rules. There are some levels out there with 50 objects and they're rated. There's some levels out there that have almost no background and they're rated. There's some levels out there that have almost no movements and they're epic. You know what I mean? There's just a bunch of other stuff that just, you got to reach a point where you're comfortable enough in your creative skill that you can just kind of experiment. And I think this level kind of exudes that, and I can, feel as a viewer here, stuff's being tried out, stuff's being developed. And I think that a lot of times that happens after somebody's first rate. They're trying to figure out what is going to be my style going forward now, and that's really cool to see. So yeah, I think it could go. I'm not going to be uploading a copy, sorry. I think it could go for a star rate. That's my immediate impression there. No video here, but it looks like it's an 8 or 9 star, so it'll be all right. Wave challenge. Okay. And then just as a heads up to everybody, the final request will be the next one in the queue. Boom. Come on. That was going to be a legendary run. That's all right, though. Did it in 7 attempts. Obviously not bad overall. It's a good wave challenge. Pressure plate unfinished by the one, the only Christic GMD. Good way to finish off the stream. Let's take a look at what we got going. Oh! Oh! Okay, so that's an interesting concept, just falling through the map and just rebounding on the other side. I didn't know if I was going to maybe add a little bit of an indicator there, add a little bit of glow, something to tell, you know, the player, okay, what's happening. Nice transition as well. And it looks like we got kind of empty space for the rest of the level because it is unfinished. And there we go. Let me pop open the editor and make a few comments on it here. Key features must add. Good idea to add a few notes. That's very good. Honestly, pretty helpful when you're going through and developing your level. Just to add some notes, let people know what's going on, right? Start position there. And then, okay, so actually, it looks like, yeah, the level does, for the moment, terminate right there. And then there's a cube animation where the ship crashes. Cube falls into the hole. Small POV animation of cube getting far down the hole. And the next part switches off. Gigantic conveyor belt. Lots of items on it. And the spider without a cube, the cube falls into the spider. Very interesting. It's actually nice and developed. Good to see, good to see. Well, with that, unfortunately, for today, I am going to have to end the stream. But the good news is I don't just delete all the levels that come into the queue. You guys have worked hard. You guys have stuck around to see me review these things, and I don't want to just leave you hanging. So I will go through. I'll either just play the levels, and if I have some thoughts about them, I will leave a comment on your level. With that, I am going to sign off for tonight or for today, wherever you are. Thank you guys for watching. Once again, thank you guys for 1,000 subscribers. It's an honor to review your levels as always. So, yeah, I'll catch you guys later. See ya.